Yes, come in.
Hello, sir. I'm Wormwood.
Wormwood. Yes, I've been expecting you. Please come in, sit down. How can I help you?
I've been having some trouble with one of my patients.
Yes, I've got your report right here. Now what you're saying about guiding a patient's reading and making sure he sees good to lose materials print. But aren't you being a trifle naive? It sounds as if you suppose that argument was the way to keep him out of the enemy's clutches. He might have been saved if he lived a few centuries earlier. At that time, humans still knew pretty well when a thing was proved and when it was not, and when it was proved, they truly believed it. They still connected thinking with doing and were prepared to alter their ways as a result of a chain of reasoning. But thanks to the weekly press and other such weapons, we have largely altered that. Your man has been accustomed ever since he was a boy to have a dozen incompatible philosophies dancing about in his head. He doesn't believe in doctrines as purely true or false, but as academic or practical, outworn or contemporary, conventional or ruthless. Jargon is your best ally in keeping him from the church. Don't waste your time trying to make him think that materialism is true. Make him think it is strong or stark or courageous. That's the philosophy of the future. That's the sort of thing he cares about. The trouble about argument is that it moves the whole struggle into the enemy's own ground. By the very act of arguing, you awake the patient's reason. And once it is awake, who can foresee the result? Even if a particular train of thought can be twisted so as to end up in our favor, you will notice that you have been strengthening in your patient the fatal habit of attending to universal issues and withdrawing his attention from the stream of immediate sense experiences. Your business is to fix his attention on the stream. Teach him to call it real life, and don't let him ask what he means by real. He's not like you, a pure spirit. Never having been a real human, oh, that abominable advantage of the enemies. You don't realize how enslaved they are to the pressure of the ordinary. I once had a patient, a sound atheist. He used to read in a British museum. One day, as he sat reading, I saw a train of thought in his mind beginning to go the wrong way. The enemy, of course, was at his elbow in a moment.
Eternal. Eternal.
Before I knew where I was, I saw my 20 years of work beginning to totter. If I had lost my head and began to attempt a defense by argument, I should have been undone. But I was not such a fool. I struck instantly at the part of the man which I had best under my control and suggested that it is just about time to get some lunch. The enemy presumably made the counter-suggestion that this was more important than lunch. At least I think that must have been his line for when I said, wait, in fact, much too important to tackle at the end of a morning. The patient brightened up considerably, and by the time I had added, much better come back after lunch and go into it with a fresh mind, he was already halfway to the door. Once he was in the street, the battle was won. I showed him the advertisements and number 723 bus going past. And before he reached the bottom of the steps, I had got into him an unalterable conviction that whatever odd ideas might come into a man's head when he was shut up alone with his books, a healthy dose of real life was enough to show him that all that sort of thing just couldn't be true. Would you like a sandwich?
Oh no, I'm okay, thank you.
It's vegan. I made it myself.
Okay. Thanks.
He knew he'd had a narrow escape, and in later years was fond of talking about that in articulate sense for actuality, which is our ultimate safeguard against the aberrations of mere logic. He's now safe in our father's house. You begin to see the point. Thanks to the processes which we set at work in them centuries ago, they find it all but impossible to believe in the unfamiliar, while the familiars before their eyes keep pressing on him the ordinariness of things. Above all, do not attempt to use science, I mean the real sciences, as a defense against Christianity. They will positively encourage him to think about realities he can't touch and see. There have been sad cases among the modern physicists. If he must dabble in science, keep him on economics or sociology. Don't let him get away from that invaluable real life. Best of all, let him read no science at all, but give him a grand general idea that he knows it all, and whatever he happens to have picked up with casual talk and conversation is the results of modern investigation.
Thank you, Uncle.
That's all right, that's all right. Do remember, you are there to fuddle him. From the way some of you young fiends talk, anyone would suppose it was our job to teach. Hopeless case.